I am Socrates, and today I was sentenced to death. The city where I lived my entire life. The city whose streets I walked barefoot. The city where I spoke with young men, craftsmen, and generals. That city has decided that I am dangerous. That city is Athens. But if you are listening to me now, then I am still alive, at least in word. And a word is stronger than the body. What you are afraid to hear, I am accused of two things: not recognizing the gods of the city and corrupting the youth. Strange accusations for a man who never charged money for conversation, never wrote books, never founded a school, never gathered an army of followers. I simply spoke, asked, listened, and asked again. But as it turns out, questions can be more dangerous than a sword. To ask a politician what justice is to question his power. To ask a poet whether he understands the truth of his own verses is to strip him of his sacred aura. To ask a person whether he is certain of what he knows is to shake the foundation of his comfort. And comfort is what people fear losing most. How it began when I was younger. A friend of mine went to the oracle at Delphi and asked, "Is there anyone wiser than Socrates?" The answer was simple: no one is wiser. I left when I heard this. I knew that I knew nothing. How, then, could I be the wisest? So I decided to test the words of the god. I began seeking out those considered wise: poets, politicians, craftsmen. I spoke with them, I questioned them, and each time the same thing happened. A man confident in his wisdom would begin to contradict himself, to stumble, to grow angry. And I understood. If I am wiser, it is only because I know that I do not know. That was the beginning of my path. Why I wrote nothing, many ask. Why did I never write anything down? Why leave no doctrine? Because truth is not an object. It cannot be placed on papyrus and passed along like merchandise. Truth is born in dialogue, in the clash of minds, in living inquiry. Writing creates the illusion of knowledge. A man reads a text and believes he understands, but he has not walked the road of questioning. He has not doubted. He has not struggled. A word on paper is dead. A word in conversation is alive. One of those who listened to me most carefully was Plato. Perhaps he will preserve our conversations, but even then, they will only be the shadow of a living flame. If the trial today, the court was full, some came out of curiosity, others out of hatred, others out of fear. They accused me with confidence. They said I undermine the foundations of the city, that I inspire contempt for tradition, that I deny the gods. I did not beg. I did not weep. I did not bring my sons to stupidity. Is life more valuable than truth? If I had said, "Very well, I will be silent," they would have released me. But then everything I had ever said would have turned to ash. If a man fears death more than injustice, he is already lost. The judges delivered their verdict, death by hemlock. I looked at them calmly. They could condemn my body, but not my mind. On the fear of death, you fear death. I do not because I am braver than you, but because I do not know what death is. If death is a deep, dreamless sleep, then it is a blessing. Who has not longed for a night of perfect rest? If death is a journey to another place where one may converse with heroes and thinkers who have gone before, then it is a great adventure. We can only fear what we know to be evil. Death is unknown. To claim it is evil is to pretend to know. I do not pretend. Vi, on the youth they say I corrupt the young. But what does corrupt mean? If a young man begins to question his father, is that corruption? If he doubts a politician as speech, is that a crime? If he seeks truth rather than glory, is that a threat? The young were drawn to me not because I promised power or wealth. I offered them something far more difficult. Doubt is painful. It removes certainty. It makes the familiar world tremble. But only through doubt is understanding born. V. What is virtue? All my life I have tried to understand what makes a person good. Not strength, not money, not noble birth. Virtue is knowledge of the good, not knowledge as a list of rules, but knowledge as understanding. A person does not commit evil knowingly. He does wrong out of ignorance. He believes he acts wisely, profitably, reasonably. That is why I said, teach a man to understand the good, and he will not choose evil. They told me, you trust reason too much. Perhaps, but I have seen reason set people free. V. On power I never sought power. I served the city as a soldier, fulfilled my civic duties when chosen by lot. But I saw what power does to men. Power intoxicates. It creates the illusion of wisdom. A man begins to think that because he commands others, he understands truth. But power is a test of character, and few pass it. I chose mastery over myself instead. X. The night before it is night now. The prison is quiet. The stone walls are cold, yet I feel a strange peace. My friend Crito came to me. He offered escape. Everything was prepared. The guards bribed. A boat waiting. I refused. If I have taught all my life to respect the laws of the city, how can I break them when they turn against me? If a law is unjust, it must be persuaded to change. To flee is to admit that force matters more than principle. Crito wept. I did not ask. The inner voice since childhood, I have known an inner sign, a voice that restrained me when I was about to act wrongly. It never commanded, it only warned. Today, it is silent. If my death were evil, would it not have stopped me? Its silence is consent. She, on happiness you think happiness is pleasure, wealth, fame. I have seen the rich tremble at the thought of losing their possessions. I have seen warriors fear the next battle. I have seen orators enslaved to the applause of the crowd. Happiness is harmony within the soul. When a man acts according to his understanding of the good, he is at peace, even if condemned, even if executed. See? If I had chosen silence, sometimes I ask myself, what if I had chosen silence? What if I had stopped asking uncomfortable questions? I would live longer, perhaps die in old age. Surrounded by family, I would not be judged, not accused, but deep within, I would know I had betrayed myself. Life is not measured in years. Life is measured in fidelity to truth. See, what will remain tomorrow my body will grow cold. But ideas do not die so easily. Anyone who has once doubted false certainty continues my path. Anyone who has chosen truth over convenience is my companion. You can destroy a man, but you cannot destroy a question. Ziv, to you who listen, I do not know in what age you live. Perhaps centuries have passed. Perhaps you wear different clothes, build different cities, worship different gods. But tell me honestly, do people fear questions any less? Are they more willing to admit their ignorance? If not, then I am still needed. XC. Final thoughts. When I take the cup, I will not think of injustice. I will think of the life I lived in search. I was mistaken at times, confused, frustrated, but I never stopped asking. If I were given another life, I would walk into the marketplace again. I would stop a passerby again. I would ask again, what do you call good? What is justice? Are you certain that you know? For in these questions, the soul breathes. Zwei, silence, soon there will be silence. Not the silence of prison, another kind. But if you can still hear my voice, then silence is not the end. As long as a human being asks questions, I live. And if one day you feel your certainties cracking under the weight of doubt, do not rush to close your ears. Perhaps it is only I, Socrates, asking you once more, are you sure?